Okay. Can you hear me clearly enough?
Yes.
Jolly
Yes, I
good.
can. Yeah. My finger. Look at. I got blood on my hand. Look,
Yeah. It's a past life thing there.
I don't know, man. I'm just like totally like. At least I didn't shave my eyebrow off totally. I did that. I did that the first date I ever went on with Morgan. I went zip, and
You would have.
one was gone.
You can get it. You can get put back now, can't you? Plastic eyebrows that
I
never
guess
change.
so. I have enough for like 10 people, so I'm not worried about it. It'll grow back in a day and a half.
Uh,
So, let's see what we got. 19 people in the house. We got some comments here. Let me pull the comments up. Okay. 28 people. All right. Okay. I'm a little
so,
bit disheveled. I'm
yeah.
normally calm, cool, and collected, but I'm a bit off my game at the moment. So, what's been happening? Oh my God. Please don't look at me.
I, I don't know what's been happening. Everything's been happening. Everything.
Yeah.
I've been watching your posts, and I've also been going through freezing cold, hot sweats and everything. And I feel like every organ in my body has been disassembled and put back into a different place. But in myself today, I feel absolutely fantastic. I feel like I've been pumped up on the inside, and I feel really strong, really clear, really calm.
Yeah. I can
But it's
feel
not
it.
always like that. It's not always like that.
I can, I can, I'm just laughing at your brother here. Irrational bowel syndrome. Can't stop the shift. Hey, Ryan. Big love to you. I know you're going through a lot over there. Yeah, I mean, I'm picking up your energy. I feel what you're saying. I was writing something last night. I don't even remember. Waking up in the middle of the night, I can't sleep. Up and down, up and down, up and down, and it was along the lines of like everything is what you said, like everything from what's presented to us to what's happened inside of our body. But one thing that has been constant has been, hey, it's going to be all right. Everything is cool. Something big's going on here, you know. So that's been coming through for me.
Well, I don't do predictions, and I don't really go with anybody else's predictions because I think there's a lot of sort of same old, same old, same old. It's
Mm-hmm.
not this week, and we didn't really mean it. What we meant it was next week, and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. So I don't disregard it, but I keep a sort of open heart and open mind to it. And if I get a bit of a tweak from the inside to pay attention, then I do. But I woke up a couple of weeks ago, and when you get that real big, strong flow of thought, which is almost like a voice,
Yeah.
and it said to me, "Put this meme up." I thought, "Oh, here we go." And it said, "May the fourth protect you for May the fifth." And I said, "Well, what's that about? What does that mean?" And I said, "Don't worry what it means. Just put it up." Now people were saying to me, "Explain more." I can't. I can't. All I do is I give what I get, and I don't really understand what I get most of the time. So I've got no idea. Oh, the other thing it says was, first of all, was USA, USA,
Which
May
means,
the United States of America.
yeah. Okay. Go.
Okay, so I got USA. May the 4th protect you from May the 5th. So I worked that out for yourself. I mean, to me, I was thinking, are you using me now as some sort of predictor, and warning people of
May
to
the
yeah,
4th. May the 4th prepare you for May the 5th.
yeah. And I don't try and understand it anymore, Todd. I just say what I say. I do what I do, and I don't
Cinco
really try and work
Cinco de
anything out.
Mayo. Cinco de
Yeah, yeah,
Mayo is May the 5th.
yeah.
As a good Mexican, I know that.
See, muy bien.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to get ready for this show. I think it's an hour later than it actually was to start. I'm out doing stuff. I got some beautiful friends coming by today. I run home. I almost shaved my eyebrows off. I used the wrong setting. They'll be back in a day or two. And then
I'm
I,
not seeing you. Oh, sorry, mate. I beg your pardon.
huh? You
I'm
can't.
not seeing you properly here. All I can see is a tiny little screen.
Uh, you should be able to. You don't have a second screen?
I've got a big U and a little It's
Okay.
not the normal one. Do I need
L-
to press something?
no, look at the bottom of the screen in the middle. There should be like a little icon that shows a picture in a picture, or you can pick whoever you want to be on the picture. I think. Yeah. So,
Okay, okay, sorry.
uh, or you can enlarge it just by going to the corner and stretching it.
Okay, just bear with me because it's not the normal one. That's all really. Entire
We,
screen.
I think we've used this one before with you. Yeah, I know we
Hmm.
have because I was going to try out some crazy stuff. But all I'm trying to say is that, and I come home and I'm doing the dishes and I didn't realize the dish had broken, so I put it in the trash and then I stuck my finger to clear the sink and plunged right into it, and then the blood just starts splattering everywhere. To me, the reason I'm saying this is because to me, this is the way it goes. Like, I'm going, okay, what does this mean? Why is my middle finger, this one, see?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got
why
that.
is this one? Why
Got
is
that.
this one getting cut wide open before I go on with Dr. Joe? Uh, why is why are these things in the moment of the day? Like the information is just like what you said about May 4th, May 5th. To me, I don't know what's going to happen. I just feel good about things, but I don't know what's going to happen. I don't expect to be balanced all the time, but you know, I don't really know what to say. To be honest with you.
Well, that's very unusual for you, really.
Well, it's because I'm off my game right now.
So this is where I'm up to. I've got no idea what's going on
Yeah,
at one level, and
yeah,
yet underneath, I know exactly what's going on. And to me, this is just becoming more and more and more about consciousness expanding,
yeah.
you know, and it's really about surrender at depth. And it's allowing things to happen to us rather than us having to do anything. I think that the Buddhists or the Zen Buddhists, they call it effortless effort, really. It means that we sort of get the emergence or the feeling that comes from deep within us, and that's the wave of consciousness, and we have to then put ourselves on top of that and ride the waves and learn how to sort of do that. And I think, and in that process, our own ego consciousness has expanded then, so we start to understand it more and more. And what's becoming more and more obvious to me is, I'm more and more pushed from deep within me, is this sort of association with the number 12 again. And I know since I met you, I've always had this thing about the 12, and I have a thing where Morgan talks about octahedrons a lot and stuff like that, and Amanda Lawrence will talk about hexagonal shapes. I get the dodecahedron, really. And
Is
I
that the
get sort of,
12
that's the 12, yeah. And
test?
what I've got is, I've got now this sort of 13th dimensional thing coming in. And Todd, I don't fully understand this. I just go with it. And I get pictures in my mind's eye of all sorts of scientific maps. And then what tends to happen now is, I'm looking at things and I'll get drawn to a meme or something that will confirm what's coming to me.
Yeah.
So I don't read anymore for information to try and take anything in. I get confirmation by reading now, and and that's where I seem to be now. I just get out of the way, and things start to come up. Now, my view, as you always know, is I only work a day at a time. So I'm not really bothered in a way of what's coming up tomorrow, because whatever comes up tomorrow, I'll just deal with it in the same way. I'll try and stay emotionally calm and clear minded and work from one moment to the next to take what I feel is the correct action from one moment to the next. And it's become awfully simple for me, really. What do you think about that?
Well, keep going.
Yeah. And I feel great, mate, and
Yeah.
on Sunday, I don't know whether you saw it, but on Sunday I completed my first sort of running race, and I
Did
did 10
What
kilometers.
do you mean? Were you ran the whole time?
Yeah, I ran the whole time in a race with thousands of other people, and that was the first race. It was exactly 6 months since I had that massive heart attack. You
Dude,
know.
that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm
How's
I'm not.
how
Go on.
is the situation with the heart?
Yeah, yeah. It's miraculously improving. In fact, the consultant, the cardiologist that I'm working under, is absolutely over the moon with me. And I'm not being stupid. I'm being very cautious. I'm watching my heart rate variability all the time. All the stuff that I did my PhD in, and I had a second what they call an echocardiogram, and
Uh-huh.
they can't find anything wrong now. And considering I lost 50% of my heart muscle activity, I
Excuse me?
find that these, yeah, yeah, I did. I lost 50% of
How
my
can you be and they let you jog to that extreme? It was a 10K?
10K. Yeah,
6.2 miles? Okay.
yeah, yeah.
That's an hour of running,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was an hour and 5 minutes it took
Yeah.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
hour and 3 minutes it took me. Yeah,
Yeah.
but the thing about it is, I'm not being stupid. I pray all the
No,
time.
no,
Or
no. I
I
don't mean that. I mean, did they give you like? I mean, I never heard it. I mean, are you limited in any way with half of the heart capacity?
Well, I was initially. I could hardly walk around the block when I first came out, and I was on all sorts of medications, and
Uh-huh.
I virtually sort of, I virtually sort of weaned myself off that. I'm not being arrogant about it. I'm sort of feeling my way through,
Do you feel
and
like do you feel like it has? Do you feel like that your recovery, your ability to run a 10K? Do you feel like that it's? Uh, do you feel like that it's outside the realm of conventional medical
yeah,
treatment? And okay,
yeah, it's vibrational medicine. This because I mean, I practice that sort of coherent breathing and
mm,
synchronized breathing and stuff. And because I'm a Reiki master as well and feel energies, I can feel something happening in me. And this is what I was saying before, is recently I felt like all my organs have been taken out and replaced,
yeah,
and I believe in my heart. It's a sort of a knowledge really rather than a belief. It's a knowing that if I keep out of the way, then I'm being reset and rejuvenated. It's almost, and it's called spiritual bioregenesis. And I honestly feel, and we've talked about that a long time ago. I feel that what's happening is the light body or the soul or whatever you want to call this thing is moving its way in to kick out any obstructions and impurities, and it's bringing in a finer, more healthy, more expanded consciousness, and also it's impacting upon my physical body as well. And Todd, I got this picture about cosmic astrology, and cosmic with a K. And I got, Joe, astrology really should work from the moment of conception. It said, because that's when the spark happens, right? And I say, well, I don't know anything about astrology, right? And they say, no, just shut up and listen what we're trying to tell you. And I said, all right, yeah, all right. And so they said, no, it's the spark. It's when that initial spark happens. That's when there's almost like a snapshot of the universe is taken at that point, like a Polaroid snapshot. And at that point, you've got all the planets aligned in various ways. What actually happens then is that becomes your facial tissue, your fascial tissue, your connective tissue of the body. It then folds in on itself and it creates your physical body. See, and I'm just sitting there first thing in the morning thinking, thanks very much for this. Can I get on with me? Can I get on with having me porridge? And
can
and I
I get
said,
on
no,
the?
yeah. And so what they showed me was at that time that becomes the journey of your soul then. Right. And so, like Taoism believe that your physical body is really like a geographical map. It's really an anatomical map. And the alignment of the stars and the planets at that point become your journey, a bit like the hero's journey, you
Yeah,
know. And
yeah,
so, I keep seeing this picture, but I'm getting to the point in a minute. But what I'm becoming to realize is that the connective tissue of the body is so important. It's a bit like your cling wrap, the plastic wrap that you put around
yeah,
um, chickens and things like that when you put them in the fridge to keep them fresh. Well, the facial tissue, right, is really the communication network for the nadis and the meridian systems, and that's the flow of energy that then steps down and impacts upon the flow of the nervous system. Then the flow of the nervous system then impacts with the way that the muscle fibers are aligned in the body, and that's why so many people are going through physical pain now in all aspects of their body. It's because the energy of the light body's coming through and it's kicking out all the obstructions. That's why it's become so important to drink water and to move gently and to try and stay as open as possible in natural and fresh air environments. There we are. I've got no idea what that's all about.
Wait, wait.
Over.
I'm digging this. let's back up a little bit because I want to make sure I understand. You said, first of all, from the point of conception is the true natal chart date. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying? Okay.
yeah,
So I just quickly did that in my head, which put me around March the 10th, right?
yeah,
So that's Morgan's birthday. I think. Anyway, so that's like a snapshot. Now you said that picture would be of the face. Are you talking about the fascia or
yeah. The fascia.
the
No, not
fascia
the
in the
face.
body? Yeah, I
Not
got you. Okay.
the fascia in the body. Yeah,
Okay. So then that's the imprint on the fascia. Then everything kind of goes from there, and then I guess life experience can alter things, free will, uh, kind of like going against the will, can kind of alter the plan, the template, the blueprint. Is
yeah.
that
It
like
just means that you
disease, or
ab-
cutting your
absolutely.
finger?
Yeah,
Okay, so all right. So now then, what you're saying is that what's happening is that one of our bodies, be it a light body or the soul itself, or however that works, a multidimensional aspect or group of multidimensional aspects of ourselves is coming into the body
yeah,
through the fascia.
yep.
Okay. And the fascia is connected to what? The fascia is
The
the little pieces, like between the tendons, the muscles, right?
Yeah, it's connective tissue. That's why it's called connective tissue.
Okay.
So the meridians and the nadis are like tiny single fiber capillaries that
Mm-hmm.
are carrying magnetic energy. So
Mm.
this is not electromagnetic. This is a magneto-electric effect. And what I think's happening in the shift
Well, what's the
with all the
difference? What's the difference?
well, the
I,
difference is the difference is
electromagnetic or magneto-electric? What's the difference? I'm just curious.
well, the magneto effect is a more refined vibration. It's more invisible. It's more subtle, right? And it's feminine.
Oh, okay. That makes
See,
sense.
so it's almost like in my mind, I keep getting a picture of that the true sacred feminine is coming back now in waves from the great central sun, which is being magnified and focused through our sun. And that's why there's so much sun activity now. So then there's a sort of exacerbation, if you like, of this influx of magnetic energy that's impacting upon our on our facial tissue that then comes down, causes our electrical system to move more quickly. That's why we're feeling so much more sensitive. However, this is all about alignment. Let me just do this next bit. And
Go ahead.
it's the alignment of muscle fibers, right, with the electrical system. So there's all sorts of what they call motor units and stuff like that. They're being stimulated as well. So if there's any chronic tension or distortion in muscles, it will cause pain. So any pain in muscles is really an indication that there's an obstruction to the free flow of this magnetic energy, which is called chi or prana, or call it what you like. So it's the body's way of saying, right? Pain is the body's way of saying is the flow is blocked. Will you please stop? Pay attention and realign me. And that's where things like Tai Chi, Qigong, Hatha Yoga, Yin Yoga, all these stretching exercises, that's what we have to do in order to enhance the flow of energy through us so that the soul that's trying to get into us, right, is actually causing the pain. It's the buildup of energy that's causing the obstructions to be more prevalent, if you like. Therefore, pain is an obstruction to the flow, and it's basically saying to us, get down, sit, stretch, drink water, look after your physical body, because I'm coming through whether you like it or not.
Do you think that the speed of the whatever that part of us is that's coming into the physical body, do you think that that's the same speed for everybody, or do you think that uh, people that are more aware or more engaged with their body might have it coming quicker, or how does that
No, I
work?
think it's the same speed, but I think people have different sensitivities and therefore feel it quicker. So people like ourselves who are emotionally sensitive and have been all of our lives, we're like the way showers really for the rest of the population. I'm not saying we're any better or what, so we're almost like the carriers of light before the general populace. And so we're like the canaries, aren't we, in the gas filled sort of caves and stuff. We die before the rest of them, or we pick up the gas before the rest of them, and then cry out to say, hang on everybody, pay attention, this is what's actually happening. So I think that the frequency is the same for everybody, except that the receiving sensitivity is different in everybody.
And okay, so it's the same for everybody, but everybody feels it differently.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, it's a perceptual thing.
it's perceptual, and then you have the part where, like, and I'm not saying this is accurate for everybody, but it's what I've come to understand with myself, particularly very recently, which is it's not what I take in my body. Not that it's not important, but it's what my perception is. If my perception is that a T-bone steak is going to kill me, or it's horrible for me, or a salad or whatever the case is, then that's got more energetic power than a physical something with physical properties that can be quickly transformed or digested or whatever, right? So with that in mind, there are people. I mean, I agree with you. I think everybody's being hit with whatever the hell this is, because the solar flares and the storms and the CMEs and the Schumann resonance and eclipses and everything is like full blast every day, and it's not slowed down since the 30th of what was the month before April, since the 31st of March,
Yeah.
at least from what I can tell, and I don't follow this stuff. But what about the people that aren't in these types of communities, that don't talk about these types of things? They're going to be feeling it in their bodies.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't hear, and I'm just trying to like dig here. I don't hear a lot anymore about people going to the hospital. And I know there must be. You did. I don't know what it is. I mean, like I know there's people transitioning. I know there's people getting sick, and they're having other symptoms, which you're pointing out. This is how it occurs or why it's occurring. But in terms of like people that are doing nothing, so to speak, that are let's just say unconscious and very selfish, or just where they're totally just not even considering it. Where do you think they stand? How does that work with people like that?
Well, I think what happens is not until if this is like they need to hit a rock bottom. I think
Mm,
everybody on the planet
mm,
now during this shift will
mm-hmm.
come to a personal rock bottom. That could be psychological, it could be physical. See, I'm
If
hearing
they
a
haven't
load.
already, if they haven't already,
Well, if they
for
haven't,
some, yeah.
yeah, no, I think the rock bottom is it needs to be powerful enough so that they let go and surrender then to this force that's coming in. I think that's what happens to everybody. It's almost aligned. It's almost like a crucifixion of sorts. Where we say we get to a point where we can't think our way out of this anymore. So we think, oh fuck it, right? I can't think anymore. I give up, and it's in that giving up that we get ascended, if you like, into the next dimension of consciousness. So I think everybody's going through their own personal hell. And then once they've surrendered, then that's only the start of it. Then we have to go through purgatory, which is the purging process, right? And as we purge more and more, we become more aware of the disturbances. And when we, rather than automatically reacting on disturbances that we have done in the past, we can say, oh, hang on, I'm feeling emotionally disturbed here. I know that that's as a result of some sort of obstruction. I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to do this breathing technique to become emotionally calm so I can get more clarity on the action I need to take to de-obstruct the process. Now, the action might be just watching it and becoming aware of it. And so more and more people are becoming aware of the stuff that they've repressed and compressed and hidden. There's a phrase that says we're only as sick as our secrets, and what that means to me is that we've pushed down stuff that should have been dealt with in exactly the opposite way, and now that's emerging now. So as the soul's coming in and infiltrating, that's probably not the right word, but coming in and getting into our body, all the stuff that's been blocked and pushed down and compartmentalized this, and I hope I never see that sees the light of day again. That's being brought back into our consciousness to say, do you remember when you did that? You said yes, and you shouldn't say no. Well, what I'm going to do now for you, this is the higher power talking. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to set the stage up in a similar way. So this time you can stand up for yourself and say, no, I'm not having it. And that's that. It's all about energy, Todd, isn't it? It's all about energetics. It's, call it what you like. So I honestly don't think that anybody's going to get away with anything that's being pushed down
No,
anybody at all.
no, absolutely
But
not.
But if people know that it's not a punishment, it's just an expansion of consciousness to allow people to understand that we're being moved into the next dimension of understanding, if only we just let go and allow the process to happen.
Yeah,
And when the feelings come up, rather than try and do some sort of comfort seeking behavior like drink, overeat, take drugs, or whatever, it's to remain natural and clean and allow the process to sort of equilibrate itself, and then that will lift us then slower and slower into higher vibrations. I don't know whether, does that make some sort of sense?
yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, I get what you're saying. I think, like what you're saying is that what happens is you're given another chance to make a different choice. So these are the loops that play, right?
Yeah.
And then as far as distracting ourselves, I mean, obviously we've dealt with a lot of that, and in terms of like becoming aware of it. But I also think too that, and then this has been going on for me most of this past month, up to yesterday, up to today, which is, this is the only day I get this day. I'm going to take a little bit of Todd time. I'm going to do something that I would enjoy. And it's an interesting 30 days because that can be a lot of things, and it's okay, right? Like I can feel the difference between uh, living, engaging life from my essence versus uh, how the same thing, the same meal or whatever it is, could also be a distraction. And the reason or the way I see it is that I can recognize a distraction now because I'm not even present with the distraction. I'm not present with the distraction. I'm distracting myself another time, basically. Like there's something I'm not dealing with or whatever the case is. So I go and watch TV or whatever the case is. Yet I'm not even present with that. That's what I learned over the last 30 days. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So now I can go down here and I can go get some chicken wings if that's what I want to do, just as an example. And I can just savor it all. It's a totally different experience. It's like being in the presence with somebody and giving them your attention. It's interesting how this stuff is all changing, but I think you're right though. I think that the time has come, or it's upon us, where we more and more people, they may not resonate with the word light worker or starseed or whatever, or awakened or whatever, but the effects on the human body are becoming very obvious. In the human body, I mean, physical, emotional, mental, but like, I don't think that's something they're going to put in the headlines, but I think it's something that by word of mouth will spread very rapidly.
I couldn't agree more. I think things like vibrational medicine, understanding of subtle dynamics, is becoming more widespread now as people get into the understanding of quantum mechanics now.
Yeah.
You know, Merkaba mechanics is coming to the fore now. So people say, well, what's a Merkaba? And so then we can introduce then sacred geometry into things then, and how vector equilibriums then. Yeah, Todd, these are things I didn't have a clue about, but they're all sort of activated in me. And when I look at something now, it's almost like I say to myself, and I'm not being a big head or anything, I say to myself, yes, I already know that. So all the stuff that I'm sort of looking at, is being activated. So all these light codes and light language things that are happening, they're sort of clearing away all the crap that's prevented me or prevented these things from coming up into my consciousness. I honestly believe that we don't have to get hold of anything anymore. We don't have to get our heads around anything.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be better off letting go of everything,
Mm-hmm.
because everything that we need that's important is already there. It just needs uncovering, discovering, recover, call it what you like, not recovering. We need to uncover and discover what's been buried by eons and eons of, I was going to say bad behavior, but misdirected, um, faulty logic and misdirected instinct. I think that's the problem. We've because of our naivety and because of our ignorance, and I don't mean stupidity because we didn't know about it, we've allowed ourselves to be duped in so many ways that we're miles off target. And I think by surrendering with this energy that's coming in, it's putting us closer and closer and closer to the original template that's our essential selves. And that's why our minds are expanding, and we're seeing that we've basically been in some sort of slavedom for eons of time.
Do you think that the light language coming through people, as an example, I know there's other things, but the light language, that's something you can put your finger on. You can go back 10 years. You could have Googled light language 10 years ago on YouTube and got 125 videos.
Yep.
Today, they're just everywhere. And this is not, I'm not making light of it. I'm just trying to connect it to what you're saying, or trying to understand what you're saying in regard to some of the qualities or the attributes or characteristics of vibrational medicine or vibrational living. Let's just say that. Vibrational science. So is the light language, what is the light language doing in the physicality, in the physiology? Because I know to some degree or another, at least it seems fairly obvious what it's doing for the person in terms of helping them to remember, or it's a signal they're remembering, or it's a memory, or it's whatever. But in the body, I think I just heard you say something to the effect that it has an influence on the physicality. What do you think that is?
Yeah, it's a resonant thing. It's something that's deep within us that's waiting to be broken out, right? So I think that the different vibrations of sound are almost like chipping away of the at the obstruction that
Hmm.
stopped it from, it's hard to explain, but stopped it from expanding really and expressing itself. I mean, light language, I've done light language all my life, and when I was drunk it used to come out, and I'd be drunk, and all this ancient Chinese stuff would be coming out, you know what I mean? And so people used to think that I was possessed by the devil, and maybe I was, but I don't look at things in that way now. But I've been told quite clearly is that each of those 12 dimensions represents a different portal. There's a different frequency that opens it up. And then I was given this other word, Chromato-optogenetics. Now, I know what optogenetics is. It's really the way light and frequencies of light work through water. Are you with me so far? It
Mm-hmm.
works through water, through our connective tissue. So the
Okay.
different frequencies of light, it's a bit like fiber optics. And we
Mm-hmm.
can see externally how fiber optics work. We've got electromagnetic energies coming in, changing the frequency of light, which then goes into televisions and computers, and then we can see pictures and we can hear sounds. That's how it works in technology. It actually works the same way in human beings as well, and it works through the connective tissue, and it works through the nervous system. And believe it or not, Todd, and I know that you'll probably know this, there's ways that nefarious organizations can manipulate electromagnetic energies to impact upon the way our stem cells work in our body, right? And
I
I
don't
think that
doubt
that's,
that a bit.
yeah, I think that's important. I know that there's people who believe that that's happening across the
No, I
planet.
don't. I don't doubt that a bit. I,
No, no,
uh,
Todd, neither do I, right? And so, but what I'm trying to say is, I do believe that there's a mechanism there's a mechanism that if we go deep enough within ourself and surrender, I do believe that our essential self, which is the highest vibration and a cleansing and protective vibration, that can actually neutralize that as these things are coming in. But how does it affect us? When we become more sensitive to the signals that our body's picking up, we can go, "Ooh, hang on a second, what's that?" Just take a step back, open our hearts, sink deeper, and allow the light to come out and neutralize anything that's coming in from external sources. I can only feel that that's the only way forward for mankind to become more self aware and more empowered to regulate their own frequencies, Todd. I
Yeah.
believe that with my whole heart.
Yeah, but at the same time, excuse me, at the same time, this is happening to everybody.
Hmm.
That means even the so-called
Yeah,
1%.
yeah, yeah.
That means any and all parties involved, they all, you know, put their socks on the same way. I mean, so having said that, two things. One, there's no doubt that there's been fuckery going on for thousands of years. There's something innate in us, even though maybe the assimilation hasn't been 100%, and that's what's happening now of these multidimensional aspects. But when we have connected to those parts of us, the you, me, we, and it, over the thousands and thousands of years, when we've reached for, you know, the chalice, when we've reached for the hand of God, whatever you want to call it, we've been able to offset this fuckery. But the second part is that they're subjected to the same thing we are, and they can't stop what's happening. So I think that might be the difference. I read something today, somehow, I don't know how, because I didn't even get online, I don't think, and I thought it was Judith Kuzel, but I can't remember totally. But they were talking about, oh, I know what it was. It was Dolores Cannon. It was a Dolores Cannon thing, and she was saying back in the day that this is the first time an entire planet has done what we're doing. That the Mayans did it and other groups did it, but this is the first time an entire, either this planet or an entire planet has actually done what we're doing. So that tells me that Great Divide or no Great Divide, maybe, you know, I remember Franco giving this one example about how some would go this way, some would go that way, and then we would meet here in 2003 or 2004. But, you know, bottom line is it's happening to everybody. And from what I'm getting from you, and this is, we can go deeper into this today and on the next one, and get into this vibrational lifestyle, vibrational medicine. But what I'm getting from you is that we can make this, we can have this transition or assimilation with as much ease and grace as we are willing to be conscious and collaborative with these parts of us that are coming in or infiltrating, as you said, or, you know, assimilating into a one body centered here in the physical body. So the practices that you talk about, if you had to choose three, like three things that every layman could understand. I know one's breath. I would think one would have something to do with the connection to the soul or the higher self, or to the, however you want to define that. And I could be wrong. But what three things would you say? Just rules of the road, layman term. What can you do, whoever you are, to have more ease and grace day after day after day?
So the thing is the first thing is become aware of your breathing. That's so important. And then it will be the synchronized breathing. So it's to get down from, most people breathe at about 15 breaths per minute at rest. It would be to move that down to 12, then to 9, and then to 6 breaths per minute. Okay.
6 breaths a minute.
Yeah, because that's so important. Because what happens then is within the human body, the masculine and feminine components, the yin and the yang, the sympathetic and parasympathetic sides of the nervous system, they start to cooperate. Neuroscience has known this for a long time. And what happens is then we're in a state of synchrony or coherence. It's called heart coherence. Okay. When we're in heart coherence, that's the opportunity then in the space between breaths to get into the neutral 0 point. If we hit the 0 point in that place between breaths, that's when the inspiration and the intuition emerges, then, if you like, from the soul. So I would say, to encapsulate all that, I would say mindful breathing, and then mindful breathing with movement. I'd say it's mindful breathing with movement. And that's why, Todd, things like Tai Chi and Qigong, they've known about this for ages. When you practice Tai Chi and you're moving your arms up like this, they're aware of their breathing, they're aware of the movements, and they're aware of their emotional state as well. So they feel the flow. And as you become more and more coherent, the flow intensifies. So this is really going with the flow. And then the flow starts to direct you then. Now, the point is, if you don't sit still long enough and practice this, then you never get in touch with the flow, because it's always distracted and it's always diffracted. So I would say the first thing for people to do is stop, is to say to themselves, I really haven't got a clue what's going on. That's almost like the first step in humility, to say, what's happening here, you know. And it's almost like to turn inwards, to take our heads the other way around, to stop looking out for answers, to turn our eyes inwards, and then start to navigate from within. Now, you asked me for three things. I've given you about 10 here, but all I'm saying is mindful breathing and movement, and to almost allow yourself to be chauffeur driven from the inside. It's almost like,
Mindful breathing and
and movement.
movement.
Yeah, yeah.
And what's the third? Oh,
Well, that's all combined, really. And I think, the other thing is nature. It's return to nature. It's get your shoes and socks off, go on the beach, go onto a lawn or on grass, really feel that strong connection with the core of the earth. You know, and then it's to sort of open your head up, open the soles of your feet up, open your heart up, and start to feel the energy start to work in you then. Surrender to me means that we've let go of the management of all this, and we're saying to a higher power, a more intelligent thing, we're saying, look, can you please show me the best way forward? Now, that will be different for individuals, because we've all got individual attributes that need to be sort of activated here. And that's what, if we were all the same, Todd, then the great reset would happen in the way that they want it. But thank God we're all completely different. And so I honestly see that the way forward again is through something called collective individuality. When people are allowed to be their individual selves and not constrained and contained in some sort of a standard model that's imposed upon us from external sources. Christ, I'm on one tonight. It's just coming out. There you go.
it's good. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. So, yeah, I think the breathing thing is such a simple thing that anyone can do. Uh, that's like, I remember, like, when I started diving into this stuff at about 21. I think my first Kundalini experience was like 24, 23, 24, and the way I came across it was through breathing. Like, I didn't know that it would trigger that. I'm sure other things probably led to it, but it was the breathing specifically, a specific breathing exercise that took you through counting, and and I would imagine that the breaths per minute were somewhere between maybe 4 and 8 by the time you got to that part of it. And I would bet you within 2 weeks was the first Kundalini. Doing
And that's it.
like 30 minutes, like 20 minutes a night for 2 weeks, and then boom, it
Yeah.
triggered it.
And what I say to the people that I work with is 3 10-minute sessions a day. Just give it 90 days. 3 10-minute sessions a day. And they say, "Oh, I haven't got time for that." Well, you have to leave them to get into more pain so that they come back eventually, you see. So there's no point in trying to convince
Yeah.
anybody, because they'll be carrying on in their same old destructive habits of containment and constrainment. So they'll get more and more tense, because that's what happens to people. People are becoming more tense, more angry, more resentful, more sort of vociferous, all the signs of trying to control things in the old 3D way. So really, the new way, 4D and above, is to let go of everything and allow this new energy to guide our path forward.
Okay. So considering uh, your schooling, your education, your profession, and your own um, research, I know you got the whole kit and caboodle. In respect to the physical, the physiology, the biology of the human being, right? As let's just say as science would see it, or whatever. These things that you described earlier that are happening, they're coming in through the body, and that you explained at the first part of the show. Do you think that what's occurring is having a physical effect on people, or potentially will, that will translate into uh, the light body having more of a physicality, and therefore the physical body having less of a density? In other words, a frequency that's different enough than what the norm has been that people might not see that person. Uh, that person might be able to fly, or materialize somewhere else. Do you think that that's happening?
Yeah, yeah. I think that they're all possible in the future. And I think that we have to start with the basics, really, of understanding the energetics. I've studied a long time, with, Lisa Renee stuff and energetic synthesis.
Uh-huh.
I've looked at that. And that glossary of terms that she's constructed there is magnificent work. But there's something beyond that as well, for me at least, called chelontic science,
Where do
and
you,
it goes, yeah, it's called chelontic science, and it's Ashayana Dean, the person's name, who sort of um,
I've seen her stuff. Yeah.
yeah, well, see now when I see her stuff, that activates something in me that says, "Look, here it is, Joe. We've been trying to show you this for years." So when I see all those stuff and those scientific diagrams at depth, I understand what that means. And for a long, long time, people were talking about seven chakras, and I thought, okay, from where I'm looking at, they're called autonomic nerve plexuses, and what they do is they correspond to the seven major endocrine systems in the body. So we start off with the red chakra, the root chakra. That's at the perineum. That's associated with the survival response, which is linked to the adrenal glands. So adrenaline is the most powerful fight or flight response for protection. Right, I could go on for ages about this, but what I've tried to do is I'm trying to link up the invisible with the visible. So I work on something called the autonomic nervous system, and that can be programmed. And what's actually happened is, over eons of time, and I love that expression because it's been going on a long time, those autonomic nerve plexuses have been conditioned and programmed by external forces based upon fear. So the fear has caused us to behave in different ways. Now, if you keep doing what you always did, it becomes a program and automatic response, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing now is it's being highlighted as this truth vibration and this cleansing vibrations coming in. It's causing a disturbance that we have to look at various parts of our body, and we can associate those to the various chakras at that point. Each of those chakras has a different principle, which has a different sort of psychological counterpart then. So what it's doing is the pain is causing people to look deeper and not to treat the symptoms, but look for the root cause of it. And Todd, the root cause of all pain is spiritual. It's all to do with energetics. And to me, spirituality is nothing to do with religion for me. It is for some people, and that's okay. But spirituality to me is really about something called quantum consciousness and energetics. And it's about energy at different vibrations. And I think more and more people are tuning into this. Just to go back to the chelontic science, really, and the Merkaba mechanics and things like that. I've seen for years that the chakras are spheres, They're spheres, and there's seven of them, one above the other. Now, each soul has got a sort of a number on those spheres that gives it a certain direction. So this is called angular velocity and angular momentum. So I know I'm going a bit too deep here, but what I'm saying is,
You're
what
doing
what I'm
fine.
saying is what I'm saying is that the soul, let's say that there's seven numbers associated with each of those chakras, and it's out of alignment when it incarnates into this physical body. The job of the soul is to actually help the ego to take actions where those vibrations change. As the vibration changes, the angular momentum and the vector changes as well, and then more energy is then released into the system, which gives us more confidence then to go and work on different aspects, and I've had all this all my life. in in 1987, I was trying to throw myself off bridges and kill myself because all this stuff was coming in. This is the time of the so-called harmonic convergence. That was the worst time of my life because I was trying to run against walls and smash my head against walls to try and let this stuff out because I couldn't process it. But what I'm able to do now is just slightly better is I can emotionally process this information at a more even rate now, so it doesn't send me off guard like it used to, or send me, you know, um, into madness.
Yeah, you're still in fucking madness.
Oh yes, I know, but
So,
I can sort of breathe my way through it a bit more efficiently now. Really,
a couple of questions. One, I'm just curious. Uh, Ayashadeen, what's her name? Ayash.
I actually, yeah.
Yeah, Ayashadeen. What is it that you were referring to specifically that you resonated with her? I'm just curious.
Well, it's the very fact that she talks about the 12 potentials on portals of consciousness that are open to all human beings and how they've been obstructed from the fall in grace. And she goes on about the mechanics and the fall from grace and fallen angels and all this sort of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm happy to, but that's not really what it's more to me. It's more about the science of it, really,
Okay.
because when she speaks, Todd, she doesn't stop for a breath. It just comes piling
I
through her.
know. I watched the two main ones she's had more than
Yeah,
once. I was just curious as to what specifically. So you're saying it's really the science part of it, like that you got some validation or resonated with that part of it. Uh,
absolutely. I think more importantly, sorry to butt in, but more importantly, it sort of resonated and confirmed that all the stuff that had been coming to me wasn't made up. It actually had some substance because I almost like felt a magnetic energy. And when you lock into something and you're really enthusiastic, every time I listened to all the stuff coming out of it, I thought, I know this, I
mm-hmm.
know this. Now, I mean, I only know snippets of it and I'm trying to piece it together.
Mm-hmm.
But my big thing is, from a practical point of view, what do people have to do to actually take this theoretical knowledge and take action to improve the quality of their lives and therefore help other people? That's what I'm about, really, is show me the practical steps to take that improves my life. Thanks very much.
So how do you consciously connect to your higher self slash soul slash infinite intelligence?
I just have a sense of the gates of my heart open up, and I just get a feeling.
I mean, do you take you talk about taking 10 minutes 3 times a day to do a breathing? Do
Yeah.
you take specific time throughout your day to connect? And if not, how do you connect? Is it just all the time?
Yeah, I'm connected all the time, mostly,
Mm.
Todd. And the only time I'm not connected is when some obstruction flies in, and then I feel disconnected because I feel emotionally disturbed. So what I've trained myself in over a long time now, over 30 years, I've trained myself to feel how my body's feeling, and most of the time it's open and flowing. And if it's open and flowing, I just keep going. I don't question anything. I have my left ear tuned into my heart, and I just say, what is it that you're trying to show me? And sometimes I've got to stop completely, really take a step back, make some space in my mind, and say, please show me what I need to do now. And that's how I live my life now, Todd. And I've got no idea what this thing looks like. I've got no sort of concept of it now. It's not masculine, it's not feminine. It's a feeling that I live my life by now. Are you cleaning the window there, or what?
I know. I'm trying to wave to your wife.
Oh, right. So there she is.
She's behind
Yeah,
your head.
she is. Yeah,
Oh, is she?
yeah. She's
Hey, are
washing
you?
the dish.
Are,
She
did you,
can't hear you, mate.
are you losing hair like me? Are you losing your hair?
Yes, I am. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But
oh.
actually, I think I put the order in. I said, look, if you want this regenesis thing going on, give me my hair back. But that hasn't happened yet. So I don't know whether that makes sense, but I live my life by the way that I feel now, Todd. And if I don't feel open and flowing, I'll stop. I'll settle down and sink as deep as possible. And I'll just say, please show me what I need to do to regain full connection with you.
I know we
You know,
talked about this before, but yeah, after hearing you explain all that, what was your take on the whole heart attack thing?
yeah.
Like,
Very
were
peculiar.
you getting feedback?
Yeah. Do you know what I got? You're being used as a model of good practice for regenesis. And I thought, oh, don't be having it. I mean, really, Todd, I should be dead. I mean, the time it took for them to get me from one place to the other to have the stent fitted, because what's happened is they've put a stent in, which is like a tube that opens the coronary artery,
Uh huh.
and now I feel fine. And as I say, I've had 2 exercise treadmill tests. The first one was dreadful, and they told me you've lost 50% of your ventricular contractions, and I thought, oh, that's bad. And then on the second one, they said, oh my God, you know. And then they increase the gradient and they say, keep going. How are you? Are you out of breath? And I said, no, feel fine. And as I say, on Sunday, I did 10K without stopping. I didn't get out of breath. I felt fine. I was watching my heart rate all the way around. And the next day I got up, I felt absolutely fantastic. No pain anywhere. So I'm 67 years of age. I've got this 17-year-old in me that's always trying to get out. And Todd, here's the answer. I don't really know, to be honest with you.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. And when people say I'm 100% certain, I sort of walk away from them
I
because,
follow the people that say I don't know,
yeah, me too.
versus I do know.
Yeah. But
And
I used to be that. I used to be what's called, a know-all knows fuck-all,
I
knowledgeable.
think we've all worn that hat from time to time. I mean, you as a kid, or you get a job, you become a manager, or whatever the case is. I mean, it's not, but it's interesting what's happening. And to me, what's happening is there's that type of self-stature is coming down. Like the walls are coming down. You could say the ego's coming down. However you want to say it. I got a message. I got several messages yesterday, but I'm talking about from people, and one of and they're friends and acquaintances, whatever. And one of them is, two of them. I have this information. I guess what I'm trying to say is that what I've noticed is this proprietary, self-righteous right to this information as being mine is taking a fall. It's going away. We don't own any of this. And so on the other end of it, as I observe it, and I'm sure others do, you really got to watch your P's and Q's and be like, hey, I see you. I see you. I understand. Call it compassion, whatever you want, but not this, hey, I told you so. About time you fell off your high horse. I mean, we're either the one being watched take a fall on that issue or other issues, or we're the one watching it, and one requires compassion for the unconscious becoming conscious in the other, and the other one, it's the great humbling. It's the great humility. But yeah, to me, that's a really great sign. I don't know about the whole Elon Musk deal. I don't. But I also understand that you can't paint anybody with a singular brush. oh, they did this to me one time, so they're a piece of shit, or whatever, or they're the king of the world because they whatever. Uh, but I saw him say something yesterday, and he said, in regard to Twitter, he said, "I just want to help humanity. This is something I can do to help humanity." Now, whether he's a triple agent or a double agent or whatever, I understand that every person, including myself, has infinite characteristics, archetypes, makeups, and whatever. And that, I remember as a little kid, like 3, 4, 5 years old, when, for many of us, our connection was clear. And I remember having conversations with God, right? And I remember uh, that voice telling me that it doesn't matter if it's the last breath, the last word, the last moment. Uh, you can rectify, bring alignment. I don't know what verbiage they used at the time, but you can bring alignment, balance, whatever, to the your life and the fullness of what you've done, right? So, yeah, I just think that there's some signs out there that we're doing a fucking great job. And it has to do with compassion, humility, sensitivity. Uh, and I think for me, like listening to you today has been fascinating because uh, this is the newest and best version of my friend. Just like I hope I'm having people go, oh wow, he's changed a little bit or whatever. But I'm seeing it in a lot of people, and to me, what it really translates to is enough of this. Well, I'm only human bullshit, which is just a fucking excuse. I'm sorry, and I've done it. I can say I'm human, but that doesn't mean that I'm not just human, right? That doesn't mean that I'm only human. But for me to say, well, I'm only human, that's just a cop out. And this is the type of pattern or frequency that you're talking about that's being challenged through the physiology, as you discussed at the top of the show. But what I'm seeing is more people um, uh, looking through the lenses of their life, moment by moment, from the multidimensional or the soul or the higher self perspective, and making decisions from that point. Making decisions where, well, the human body or the human isn't going to like that, but we're doing this because we know we need to. And I can't even imagine the kind of impact that things such as 10 minutes of breathing a day, 3 times a day, uh, or some of the other things that other contemporaries, modalities, processes, techniques, just minor little things that will substantially alter the whole world, you know?
I think time is of the essence.
Do you really?
Yeah, yeah. Because that phrase is there's no time like the present. Well, in truth, there's no time in the present, is there?
No.
So,
There's not.
so if time is of the essence, I mean
Yeah.
that means that to me represents the eternal, what's called the eternal now moment.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
that's all we
and I
have, right? I mean,
well, but
yeah.
that's it, isn't it? And then what I'm saying is, if you're in that eternal now moment, there's no distraction. There's only pure flow. It's pure awareness without
Yeah.
thinking. So it's beyond belief because beliefs are based in the past, aren't they? I mean, a belief is a stored knowledge thing. So it must be, if it's stored, it must be something from the past. So if we're working in that regard, we're working from the past all the time. The only way to go forward, in my understanding, is and a vertical ascension, as they say, because that other one's a horizontal. It just bobs along in horizontal time. Vertical ascension can only happen, right, in the now moment. And I think that's like an updraft to me. So when you're in that 0 point, which isn't really a 0 point, it's an everything point, right? Once you're in that space between breaths, I think that's when the escalation happens. That's when we are propelled upwards, and our vibration increases, and it lifts us to a different stage in our life, because I think there's states and stages as well. And just to say this, I think we can take drink, we can take drugs, we can take all sorts of different things that temporarily change our state and give us the impression that we've reached a different stage. But when those things have gone, we fall back to the stage that we're at anyway. So we might as well be clean, be sober, and work naturally towards this thing. So I don't know why all that came out, but I think it's
Well, no,
all
that's a
about.
good point, though. I mean, and it's because the clarity, you know, is coming, you know, more and more for everybody. But that's a good point. But we all know that the drinking, the drugging, the sex addiction, whatever the case is not the fucking issue. It's beneath it,
Exactly.
and those things are also being seen, I think, too, which is let's say arrogance or um, you know, being a doormat. I mean, there's so many different ways that those things can play out, but I think these are the things that have come to the surface. I think that you know, we're not just looking at the symptoms now. We're looking at what is. This is what you were saying earlier about the spiritual thing. Anything that's it's got a spiritual root. I remember reading, and I love the guy Emmett Fox.
Yeah.
Back, that was some of the first books I got.
Sermon on
The
the Mount.
Sermon on the Mount, it's particularly page 26, paragraph 1 and 2, which I could say verbatim, but I'm not going to. And also The Power Through Constructive Thinking, which is probably one of my top 3 books ever. But he talked about it. The things he talked about, technically a Protestant metaphysician in early 1900s, and he wasn't the only one. Ernest Holmes, Mary Baker Eddy. I mean, these are contemporary metaphysicians that I wouldn't put in the occult category. Nothing wrong with the occult category. I'm just saying that's more of a clickbait thing to me. Although there's substance there, don't get me wrong. But I'm talking about the stuff that you're talking about, the stuff that you're relaying to people, what you've made a career out of. Um, he talked about it. Physician, heal thyself. Jesus talked about it. I
Of
mean,
course.
so this is not as far away and mysterious and a surprise as we might think. It's been there all along. We've just been bombarded with, you know, premeditative, malicious intent of control, corrupt, whatever you want to call it. But we're woke up now. I mean, and I really love your message too, because it's not enough just to uh, be awake. It's like, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Right? And it isn't just to bring us back to, I really feel like it's to bring us to a point where we can birth things that have never been birthed, create things that have never been created, and that covers infinite possibilities, relationships, jobs, art, planets, families. I mean, it just covers everything. What do you want to do?
But that's the excitement of it, is
Mm-hmm.
we don't know. And it's to have the courage to stick your head out and dive into the dark, knowing that within you, you've got all the essential ingredients and resources to get you through it. But then the more you trust this, the more that you can go forward and enjoy and have an enthusiastic and a vital life. But this is about trusting that thing that's deep within us. And
Yeah.
I think that that's what it is. I think what happens is the soul knocks on us most of our lives to say, let me in, let me in. I'm trying to tell you how to do this here. Right, stop being distracted by all those things. Knock, 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 and until the pain gets enough, and then you go, "Oh fucking hell, I've had enough. I can't think anymore." And then the soul goes, "Just let me in, and I'll show you." So it gets in. Then that's the infiltration, and then when it's fully and utterly sort of congealed and sort of resonant with every part of us, then it starts to radiate through us now. And I think that that's when the true alignment takes place, is when the soul and our physical body and our body, mind, soul, and spirit are all working in perfect harmony. I think that's what the end game is, you know. And as for the event, Todd, I call this surfing the pre-event waves, right? I'm not sure about that either. You know, the way I see things is the events to me will allow people to wake up spiritually. And there's two sorts of spiritual awakening, as far as I understand it. There's one that has a massive psychic effect, and you go to bed one night and you wake up completely different the next day.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't even recognize who the person was the day before. That's a massive spiritual change. That's a bit like Saul on the road to Damascus, and then he became Paul the next day. And then there's another variety, which is an educational variety, where you sort of gain a little bit of information every single day. And then,
Yeah.
so
Then
I
then
think
you
that,
end up like bashing your head against the wall like you did.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's right.
Why is that? Hey, I wanted to ask you something before we get out of here. My guests are here.
Yeah,
Uh, uh, Hang on. So I wanted to ask you one last thing. All right, and then we'll continue this next whenever later this month
okay.
or first of next month. Um, so um, everyone has their own clairs. I get that. And there's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious because of the insight that you have, which doesn't mean you would be able to have any insight on this or not. I don't know. But quite a few people over the past few weeks, there's been more talk about people actually seeing the new earth. People going there in dimension, in meditation, in lucid dreams. A lot of the things that I hear are similar, are the same. It's everything's white, crystal cities, a big column in the middle, a big dome, energy, all just different things. Have you had any experiences at all, or anything coming through in regard to that?
Yeah, I get two sort of pictures. I get one that's Lemurian, and it's
Mm-hmm.
more to do with the earth and the pure earth with clean water, green fields, blue sky, and all that. That's my Lemurian view of New Earth. But I also have an Atlantean view as well, which is the white crystal city. And it's a bit like on, Superman movies where
Mm-hmm.
he goes up to the Antarctic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have that picture quite a lot, really. And in my mind, I've got like a masculine view, which to me represents the Atlantean view and the technology. And the other side is the feminine side, which is the green earth and Mother Earth. So I get that a lot. And I'm afraid to go to sleep now because I'm doing more work in my sleep, And mostly when I'm in my sleep now, I have a dream where I'm at a bar and me is trying to hand me now. So it's a dimensional shift, right? It's trying to hand me a drink, and I'm saying, "You fucking know I don't drink anymore." So there's all that going on in the dreams as well. And I'll be quick finishing
No,
off
no,
this
you're
now.
good. You're good.
Okay, and the other one is that most of the time I see like humanoid figures in my dream, but more recently now I've been seeing other than humanoid figures now, and I've been seeing almost like I can't remember the cartoon characters, but there's all sorts of cartoon
What do
characters,
they look
and
like?
yeah, they look like those. Do you know those like robotic type figures
Oh,
with
you're talking about like Transformers?
like Transformers, but what are those other like minions? Is it or something like the minions or something like that? Well, I'm seeing these minions, and I'm having a full conversation in my dream with this minion,
Right.
and we're walking along a pond or a big lake, and then it suddenly says, "I'm just going to go for a swim," and it goes in like so. I'm thinking, get me out of here. So in my dream, I'm almost saying, "Can you please take me back to 3D because I can't get my head around this." So I'm really, really busy in my astral stuff.
Yeah, me
Um,
too. I mean,
but
the
I
lucid
don't get
dreams.
too hung up on it though, Todd. Because I mean, I think I'd drop off all the time in my daytime.
Yeah,
You know, I can
yeah.
I can say 1 second I can say right, go and do that now, and about half an hour later I think what was I going to do? Because I can't remember
I know.
anymore.
Half an hour. How about half a minute?
No, that's what I mean. I'll sit at the computer
Uh
and I'll
huh.
think to myself, I'll go onto this site now, and I'll think in about 10 seconds time, I think, where was I going then?
Mm,
So that's happening to me a hell of a lot, really.
right on. All
Well,
right,
there you go,
Doctor
sir.
Joey D. Rapper in the house
Yeah.
today with us. Did you want to take us out with a rap?
No, but I'm working on one, a great one, and you'll love it because it's based on Outlander as well. So I am working on it. So
No.
maybe the next time I'll do a rap for you.
Well, you let me know. We would love.
Yeah.
We would love to. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I'm trying to do this. Yeah, we would love to premiere
Yeah.
your true your true genius
That's just
and
part of me,
gift.
mate. It's just part of me. That's the music side of my multiple intelligence, which used to be multiple personality disorder. But now, rather than the crown of thorns, it's become the crown of crowns. There we go. I'll leave you on that one.
Well, you're welcome to do it here if you ever want to.
I
Dr.
will do,
Joe,
mate.
thank you for coming. I know everybody's.
Very good, very good. Right. See you soon, mate. Thanks very much. Love to Morgan.
All right.